The Heat finally snapped that 7-game losing streak Wednesday night against the Sacramento Kings. Should they keep the momentum going by trading for Kyle Kuzma? The NBA trade deadline is just 1 week away. Does Pat Riley have another move in him, and could it be for Kyle Kuzma? We'll discuss more in depth on today's show, but first, that deadline is a week away. Do you want us to go live on February 8th, that Thursday NBA trade deadline? Well, if you want to, hit that like button so I can go to my bosses and say, hey, Heat fans want to go live. Can we make it happen? Let's see if we get the 250 likes. That will give us a strong case to potentially go live next Thursday. All right, let's get into Kyle Kuzma now because he could be made available by Washington, our division foes, if you will. And he fits Miami perfectly as someone who could stretch the floor, defend a little bit at that power forward position. It's almost like it's a match made in heaven if you're looking at a smaller scale of the need of Lauri Markkanen potentially. Also, the asking price of Washington for Kyle Kuzma has been super, super high. But has that changed? Is the asking price not as high as we once thought it was, which we believed it was 2 first-round picks? Well, David Aldridge and Josh Robbins, yes, David Aldridge, the one you skip in 2K of The Athletic, reported this yesterday. League sources maintain Washington has been holding out for 2 first-round picks for Kuzma. Though team sources indicate that is somewhat overblown, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. So maybe now we're looking at a grand total of 1 first-round pick or equivalent value for Mr. Kuzma. And to me, 1 first-round pick for Kuzma would be very enticing. This is a guy who, yes, he's on a bad Wizards team and is a volume scorer, but he's putting up 22 a night. His efficiency isn't horrific. You'd like that 3-point shooting number to be higher, but he is a well-rounded player that can crash the glass, can space the floor, shoot threes from beyond the arc. Kuzma can do it all, and maybe if you get him as the 4th, 5th option on a Heat team alongside Hero, Rozier, Jimmy, and Bam, maybe that volume goes down to 15, 16 points a game, but the efficiency skyrockets to 50% from the field and maybe 38% from 3, but you also have someone who can defend and help Adebayo in the front court. Because when I say they need front court help, well, Bam's a 6'9", 6'10 center. Kuzma, not a center, trust me, but he is 6'9 in height and 7-foot wingspan. So he can guard lengthier guys because of his length himself, and you pair up a 6'10 center with a 6'9", 3/4, well, now you have a front court that can switch defensively at times. I'm not saying Kuzma can guard centers, but he can at least stay there for a second. A very similar type build to Dorian Finney-Smith on pure height to wingspan ratio and weight. Not really much the defense. We'll get to that in a bit, but Kuzma's length really does intrigue me to potentially slide him in between Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in the starting lineup or that closing lineup. We'll talk more in depth about Kuzma throughout this entire episode, but would you trade for Kyle Kuzma? Type Y for yes, type N for no. It's today's pinned comment. So if you get hit with a YouTube ad break, let it play, scroll down, and answer it for me down in the comment section where I'll give you my thoughts later and discuss more around Kyle Kuzma. All right, let's look at his advanced shooting numbers. You know we like to do that around here. The one thing that I really like about Kuzma is his ability to finish inside the painted area. When he's within 10 feet from the basket, he's shooting 59%. The Heat are one of the worst teams in the entire NBA at finishing around the rim. Kuzma would be able to change that, and he also isn't afraid to drive inside and take shots amongst the trees with 8.8 field goal attempts a night. The pull-up midi is nothing I'm concerned about. The three-point shooting is where I want to look at next. The pull-up 3, 2.5 a game at 31.9%. That's not ideal. And this year also shooting the catch-and-shoot 3 at 4.3 shot attempts a night. He's only shooting 33.5 or 33.7% from beyond the arc. So the 2 biggest concerns I have with Kuzma, at least this season, is his dip a little bit and his efficiency from beyond the arc. But like I said, maybe, just maybe, if you put him in that Heat lineup, have him as the 4th, 5th option, his efficiency will go up when his volume goes down. That is the hope, but he's shown the ability to be a catch-and-shoot 3-point shooter in the past when he played with the Los Angeles Lakers. We've talked a lot about offense. What about his defense, though? Because that is the part that has also concerned me a little bit. Kuzma early in his career was a very good defensive player. I mean, we're leaving out his rookie season in 2017, 2018 on this graphic, but his defensive rating the first 3 seasons, or the last 3 seasons, I should say, in Los Angeles were very, very good. 112.2 in 2018-19. That championship season for LA in 2019-20, he was at a 109.1. Then he was really good in 2020-21 defensively. He had an okay year on that defensive side of the floor as well in his first year for the Wizards. But the last 2 seasons, he has given up a little bit on the defensive side of the ball, focused more on his offense, exerting more effort on the offensive side of the ball, which has made his defensive rating go down. And when you're playing bad basketball like Washington has been over the past 2 years, well, you're not going to get the best effort from Kuzma on the defensive side of the floor. But once again, I believe that in a Heat lineup, in this rotation under Erik Spoelstra, they could get the best out of Kyle Kuzma offensively and defensively. So I'm kind of leaning towards saying yes to a trade. We'll have an idea coming up in just a second. But we are a week away from the NBA trade deadline, and we are going to have you up to date on all Miami Heat trade rumors leading up to that February 8th deadline. I want to get to 8,000 subscribers before next Thursday's deadline. We are 372 away. Can we get there? Hit that sub button right now. I'll do a beer bong if we do get to 8,000 subscribers before the trade deadline. All right, this is the trade idea that Zach Buckley cooked up. I did not make this trade idea, but I found his trade on the internet, and I thought it was very intriguing. The Heat get Kuzma in exchange for Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, a 2028 first-round pick swap, and a 2026 second-round pick, which is the only second-round pick Miami can offer. We'll discuss more on this trade idea in just a second. But we have a flash sale going on right now. Chatsports.com/HeatLS goes for long sleeve. You could get $12 off this Miami Heat long sleeve sweatshirt. I wouldn't say sweatshirt, long sleeve shirt right now. I'm going to put that link in the description and the comments of today's video. Take advantage. The sale's only going on for another 12, 13 hours. Get $12 off this sweet Miami Heat long sleeve shirt at chatsports.com/HeatLS. Let's revisit this trade idea because the Heat would be giving up 2 rotation pieces in Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin, young prospect in Jovic, a swap, and a second-round pick. So you're not giving up a pure first-round pick, but you're giving up the value of a first-round pick in Nikola Jovic, and you're also giving up a second-round pick, which meets David Aldridge and Robbins somewhere in the middle between the 2 first-round picks. And I got to be honest, folks. It's devastating for me to say this out loud, but I've become more and more open to moving Nikola Jovic for a player that can help the Jimmy era compete. I love Nikola Jovic. Y'all know that I think he could be a special player in this NBA. The issue I find is Butler is getting there in age. The window for Jimmy in this build with Hero, Bam, now Rozier to win is not getting open. It's closing, if anything. And if you want to get a player that you believe can help win you a title this year or next year, I think you should pull the trigger on moving Nikola Jovic because I think he's 1.5, 2 years away from being a real player that can help you win. So I've become more open to trade Nikola Jovic, unfortunately. But how about the other 2 rotation pieces that Miami would be giving up in this deal? You obviously lose the sniper off the bench, Duncan Robinson, which would be not the most ideal thing in the world, that is for sure. He's having a terrific year, shooting 40% from beyond the arc. Caleb Martin, we've discussed him at length here on the Heat Report. He is going to be a free agent, assuming he opts out of his player option. And because of the current Heat cap situation, they're going to be unable to retain him in all likelihood. So moving on from Caleb Martin does not move me. It would hurt losing Duncan Robinson, coming off the bench being your shooter, but if you can get 60% of what Josh Richardson gave you yesterday when he had 24, and hit 6 triples, moving on from Duncan doesn't seem like the worst option to upgrade that power forward position. And then obviously Nikola Jovic, losing him would hurt, but like I said, he hasn't really given this Heat team that much on any side of the court this season. It stinks, but Jovic isn't ready to help this team win a title. So, before I give you my final answer, would you accept this trade on today's show? Type A for accept, type D for decline. Get in those comment section and let me know your thoughts on this Kyle Kuzma trade. I'm typing my A's. I'm willing to do it. I am. I know it's devastating, but I absolutely am willing to do this trade. Why, you ask? Well, look at your potential starting lineup and closing lineup for the Miami Heat. I did find it interesting that Tyler Hero didn't close most of last night's game when the Heat defeated the Sacramento Kings, but that's a different day or a different story for a different day. A Rozier Hero backcourt and then a Jimmy Kuzma Bam frontcourt. All 5 of those guys averaged 20-plus points per game this season. That's not even why I am intrigued by this group, because you're going to have 2 to 3 people average less than 20 if they play together. To me, it's the size in the front court alongside Jimmy, Kuz, and Bam. That's why I said it earlier, 6'9", 7-foot wingspan. Kuzma has the length, the ability to space the floor offensively, and switch in Eric Spoelstra's defensive scheme to make this 5-person lineup really, really effective. And you pair that 5-man lineup with a bench of Triple J, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Haywood Highsmith, Jay Rich, Kevin Love, and a person you sign on the buyout market after next week's February 8th trade deadline. Oh boy, that is a really good 9 to 10-man rotation that can do some damage in the NBA playoffs. So that's why I'm doing the trade. We'll have more rumors leading up to that NBA trade deadline next Thursday. So make sure you join the channel. Remember, 8,000 subs by next Thursday. I'm doing a beer bong. Hit that sub button. We'll also be live for games that the Heat play leading up to the NBA playoffs and into the NBA playoffs. Another one Friday night against the Wizards. So join us then.